When you think of Aston Martin, what comes to mind? A perfectly dressed British spy in a tailored tuxedo? Or one of the most beautiful cars ever created? But here's the truth, behind that symbol of luxury lies a company that has gone bankrupt 7 times. And somehow, it's still here. This isn't just a story about cars. This is the story of a brand that refused to disappear, no matter what. The men of Aston Hill. Aston Martin was founded on the 15th of January, 1913 as Bamford and Amp. Martin Limited by Lionel Martin and Robert Bamford in a London workshop. 2 friends, Lionel Martin and Robert Bamford, started out selling cars and racing bicycles. But it didn't take long before they realized something: selling other people's machines wasn't enough. They wanted to build something faster, something better, something of their own. The name Aston Martin was born from a victory. Lionel Martin won the Aston Clinton Hill Climb race with one of those self-built cars. It wasn't just a name, it was a statement of intent. In 1915, they built their first car, nicknamed the Charcoal Scuttle, a raw and experimental machine, powered by a Coventry Simplex engine and built on an Isotta Frescini chassis. It wasn't perfect, but it was the beginning. Then came the First World War. Everything stopped. And when the war ended, reality hit hard. Money ran out. Pressure mounted. In 1920, one of the founders, Robert Bamford, decided to leave the company. And by 1925, Aston Martin went bankrupt for the first time. Lionel Martin walked away. The dream almost ended before it truly began. David Brown and the DNA of greatness. In 1925, Lionel Martin then sold the company to Lord Charnwood, renaming it Aston Martin Motors Limited. In 1932, Sir Arthur Sutherland acquired the company and placed it under his son and Apple's management. In 1947, everything changed because of a small advert in the Times. A British industrialist named David Brown saw a listing for a high-class motor business and decided to buy it for £20,500. But here's what made it interesting: he wasn't just buying a brand. He was buying engineering. Brown also acquired Lagonda, mainly to gain access to an engine designed by W.O. Bentley, one of the greatest engineering minds of the time. And from that moment on, the initials the DB were born. DB1 came first. But it was the DB2 that truly defined Aston Martin: elegant, powerful, and unmistakably British. A true Grand Tourer. Then came 1959. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans race, the DBR1 beat Ferrari in a historic victory to secure first and second place. It was more than just a win, it was Aston Martin stepping into legend. Decades later, that very car would sell for around £17 million, becoming the most expensive British car ever sold. But history has a way of reminding us success never lasts forever. James Bond and the price of fame. In 1964, Aston Martin received the greatest piece of marketing in cinematic history. The DB5 appeared in Goldfinger alongside James Bond. Overnight, Aston Martin became the most desirable car in the world. And it didn't stop there. The DB5 would return in films like Skyfall and Casino Royale, becoming inseparable from the image of 007. But here's the irony: fame doesn't guarantee survival. Every Aston Martin was still handcrafted. Every stitch, every detail, built by hand. That created beauty, but it also created cost. By 1972, David Brown was forced to sell the company for just £101 to clear its debts. One of Britain's most iconic brands brought to its knees. The 1970s and 80s were chaotic. Cars like the V8 Vantage earned a reputation as Britain's first supercar: raw, powerful, unapologetic. Then came the Lagonda, a bold, futuristic saloon with digital displays ahead of its time but plagued with reliability issues. Aston Martin survived, but only just. Ford, the rescue. By the late 1980s, Aston Martin was on the brink of disappearing for good. Then came a turning point. In 1987, Ford stepped in, after recognizing the brand's potential during a Mille Miglia event. By 1993, Ford had taken full control. And with it came something Aston Martin desperately needed: stability. Production was modernized. Investment flowed. And for the first time, Aston Martin could think beyond survival. The DB7 arrived and became the best-selling model in the company's history at the time. In 2003, a state-of-the-art facility was opened in Gaydon, marking a new era. Cars like the Vanquish followed, featuring aluminium composite structures and powerful V12 engines derived from Ford architecture. Aston Martin was no longer just surviving, it was rebuilding. Technology and the modern era. As the 21st century began, Aston Martin continued to evolve. In 2013, the company partnered with Daimler AG, gaining access to advanced technology from Mercedes-Benz. For the first time, Aston Martin embraced external engineering, using Mercedes-AMG V8 engines in models like the DB11. A bold move but a necessary one. At the same time, the brand pushed the limits of performance. The 1-77 showcased extreme craftsmanship and exclusivity. And then came the Valkyrie, a hypercar developed alongside Red Bull Formula One, bringing race car technology directly to the road. Aston Martin was no longer just a heritage brand, it was stepping firmly into the future. A new era, F1 and beyond. Today, under the leadership of billionaire Lawrence Stroll, Aston Martin has once again reinvented itself. The brand returned to Formula One, decades after its failed attempt in 1959. But this time things were different. The iconic British racing green car reappeared on the grid. And in its very first season back, Aston Martin secured podium finishes with Sebastian Vettel. At the same time, the company entered new territory, the SUV market. The DBX, and later the DBX 707, became one of the most powerful luxury SUVs in the world, producing nearly 700 horsepower. It proved one thing: Aston Martin hadn't lost its edge. The spirit of resilience. More than a century of history. 7 bankruptcies. And yet never gone. Aston Martin didn't just survive, it kept coming back. From handcrafted perfection to royal recognition, from King Charles III to becoming a symbol of British culture and global luxury, this is more than a car company. The wing badge doesn't just represent speed. It represents freedom, strength, and the ability to rise again. Because Aston Martin isn't just a machine. It's the spirit of Britain, elegant, powerful, and never willing to surrender. Aston Martin. Over 110 years in the making. And still moving forward. This isn't just a brand, it's a legend that refuses to die.